Hello, everyone. Happy Friday, and welcome to today's episode of Brewed for Business, the traveling podcast where I travel around the world, soon, hopefully, right now around the country, and interview local business owners at local coffee shops and just kind of pour into who they are and what they do and how you guys can do business with them. Today, we are at Lima Coffee Roasters in Fort Collins. Midtown, I think this one is what is considered, but super cute coffee shop. Like, there's a back room that I didn't know about the last time I was here. So if you need a place to work, there's a lot of spaces and nooks where you can work from. They have good food, great coffee, and they're really easy to get to. Parking, sometimes a little bit of an issue. But outside of that, we're good. I'm so excited for you guys to meet my guest today, Jen, with Beyond the Mirror, Counseling and Wellness, and we're going to get into what she does, who she is, and all of that good things. And before we go any further here, cheers. Cute little glass mugs. They trust us. Awesome. Ooh, really good coffee. So Jen, thank you so much for joining me today. I'm really excited to be here with you and get to know a little bit more about what it is that you do. But where I always start from, because I love it, because I travel and I like learning about new places. Are you originally from Colorado?
I am not. So my family's originally from Portugal. So I'm the first generation born in America on my father's side. So they're from the Azores and a little island called San Miguel, and then moved to Massachusetts. So there's a Portuguese community there, and a lot of my family have been there, and that's where I grew up. And then moved to Colorado about 25 years ago.
Yeah. So we'll get into Colorado soon, but so I'm very curious because Portugal, I've heard amazing things.
Oh yeah.
And the amount of people that I know that go travel there for the summer and they get a house on the beach or something, right? Mm-hmm. What made you guys want to leave?
I know. I think that it was my grandparents wanted the better life, for us.
American dream.
And the American dream.
Yeah.
And so I think that was a hard transition. They didn't speak English for a really long time. My grandfather fared better than my grandmother, but she learned English with me watching Sesame Street, taking care of me when I was a kid. And so then I came to Colorado for college. So fell in love with Fort Collins and never left. So I've been here.
It is a hard place to walk away from, once you've been here, because it's a little bit it's like a best of all worlds. You still have all the big city things that you need. Mm-hmm. Feels like a small town. Has a super amazing old town historic district.
It does.
And you're near everything outdoors that you could possibly imagine. You're 2 hours away from Denver, so if you really want to get full city, you go down there.
Yeah, they have I just love community, bringing people together. I'm really passionate about it. I call it the Portuguese way. In other cultures, that's how I grew up. If the neighbor, Miss Gonzalez, needed her grass mowed, I would mow my grandfather's side and her side too. You just do for your community. You bring everybody in. That's what I love about you bringing us into the local coffee shops. It's really a great kind of bringing everybody together. And so Fort Collins has a great community feel. We have a strong therapist network, but there's always something going on with our Old Town Hub that you can connect to, whether you're an athlete or musician or theater or just enjoy the outdoors. There's so much to connect to.
Yeah, all sorts of things. The other day I found there's actually a coffee shop up the street, which I was going to do that, but they have limited hours, that has, it's a connection with a music store, so there's practice rooms.
Yeah.
So you can literally be in the coffee shop and there's a musician practicing in one of the rooms. I love that.
That's great.
And another reason for everybody to come together and to hang out.
Yeah.
So you lived in Massachusetts for a little while.
Yeah, for forever until high school, and then I moved to Jackson Hole, of all places, and so I was near to, in Massachusetts, near to the beach, and lots of touristy stuff over there by Cape Cod, and then moved to Jackson Hole, a lot of touristy stuff, so it kind of felt nice to move away here. My mom also wanted to go to get her graduate degree, and so she went to CSU and then fell in love with it, and so we all kind of came this way eventually. After I came for school, she remembered it and moved here too to be with me and the family, so that's really nice.
And so it's interesting too because you went from like East Coast beach to like inland.
I know.
As far inland as you possibly can get.
Yeah, I love the mountains. I'm a trail runner, so I've been an athlete my whole life. Never really competitive, just kind of because it's what I love to do.
Yeah.
And so running through the mountains and the trails all over, there's so many good ones that
Can't beat
I
that.
just can't beat it. Yeah.
It's one of the things that I love the most, like being out here. So I've lived in Florida the majority of my life, most of it, and being outdoors is a limited season, right? As to like what's comfortable and what's not. And that's one thing that I've noticed since I've been here. And since I've been here since March, there's been like every extreme weather possible, right? There's been like 95-degree days, and then there's been snow days. So I've kind of seen it all, which has been really fun. But through it all, I have noticed that there are people outdoors doing something, coming together, going for a walk with the animals, whatever, in all seasons.
Oh yeah, and the sun always comes out. It's like only like 2 seconds later, it could be snowing, 3 feet of snow, and then the sun is still out. And you're like, how does this even happen?
Right.
From the East Coast or being in Europe, I'm like, this is not how it works in other places. But
Overcast
here,
all
most
day.
days are sunny, yeah.
Yeah, and I guess it's to do with the elevation, I would assume, right?
Yeah.
But and also because you're so close, like we're on the front range of the Rocky Mountains, so I'm sure a lot of that clears,
Probably.
any of that weather and stuff that might be causing an issue with that.
Yeah.
But interestingly enough, so I have been to Boston a few times, and it's one of my favorite cities. I love the Massachusetts area, but I've never actually made it to like Cape Cod, and like seeing like the coast or the New England side of it. So, were you always an outdoors person? Like, did you do any of like?
Yeah, forever. And we used to spend like summers by the beach. And my dad and my uncle Rick, they're sailors, so they like to be going
the
sailing.
water.
We had a sailboat that we shared between our families, and so we were on the water the whole time by the ocean, always outdoors. My dad lived on a property by the woods, so I got the best of both worlds, being right by the ocean, but also in the forest. And I loved the way I could grow up, just exploring and using your imagination and being outside.
Yeah, like literally go outside and explore, like on the in the afternoon instead of like having to go somewhere to find a place to then go. You're like right there. I love that. So has being outdoors, has that trickled into like what it is that you've done professionally, like throughout your life?
Maybe in the decision-making component of it, I think that was the hardest thing to decide. If I'm going to be a counselor, I thought, am I really going to be able to sit down all day?
Inside.
Be inside. So I must have large windows and lots of light, like it is. But I guess it started working with athletes. Like that was part through my internship. I needed more hours, so I created Beyond the Mirror as an outreach program, like with the mission of empowering individuals to see beyond their reflections to their wholeness. And so it started as a self-esteem in the schools and different areas. I spoke in high school, college. You'd be amazed at, as soon as people find out you're speaking for free, how many people call you. So it ended up being like a full-time job, of me speaking all throughout our community. And then we had to do a certain amount of group hours in my master's program. And there weren't very many people back then, who did a lot of group work, except for Jane Welzel, who was a professional athlete, one of my dearest colleagues and friends I had for a long time, mentor. She was, qualified for the Olympics 5 different times as a runner, won many marathons. She was from Boston and then East Coast, Massachusetts, and then came here. And she had a group for eating disorders. And so she specialized in the work of eating disorders, and with athletes and eating disorders, there's a lot of crossover, especially with women. You need just an insane amount of nutrition if you're going to be an athlete, and that could be hard for people to accommodate. And so I kind of fell into working with individuals with eating disorders, and still to this day, we're known in the community for, that's one of the things we specialize in.
Yeah. Well, and it's so interesting because you wouldn't consider that, right? Like, because from the outside in, like I see an athlete and I'm seeing people that are like very fit and very health conscious and all that thing. But I guess I don't think of the fact that they have, especially if you're competitive, professionally competitive, then you have like certain regulations that you have to follow, which is where I would assume maybe some of that eating disorder situation like comes into, or is it more?
Well, and just the amount of food, like the amount of food you have to have, I think could be triggering for anybody to really see. Like I remember one time, who was it? Michael, he was a pro swimmer, And they showed like on, what is it, Time magazine,
yes,
everything he eats in a day and a
like
stack
a
of
feast.
pancakes. Yeah. So think about being a woman and being like, this is what I'm up against. Probably less carbs,
Yeah.
but lots of different foods. And I think that in itself is triggering, but there's so much you have to do. And it's such when you're looking at the space in between for elite athletes or elite anybody, once you're elite, like being the best is a matter of milliseconds, it's a matter of teeny little tweaks. And so the pressure is so high that I think a lot of times people think eating disorders are more about how you look when it's really about trying to control something. It's like I really need to get some control over my life. And when we look at health behaviors of any kind, whether they be healthy or unhealthy, and the crossover often comes from just needing a sense of grounded control to feel safe in the world.
Yeah, that makes complete sense. Well, you said you got into this like with an internship. What was your internship? What was that?
Yeah, so I did my internship with Chris Book, who was a dietitian specializing in eating disorders in Loveland. And then I worked at the Women's Center, which was a nonprofit that supported individuals that have cancer or need support for like dental things and other like medical support. And so I helped them start a counseling program there that they didn't have already. So the other interns and people who worked there were social workers. They didn't have, people would come in saying they have cancer or that they need dentures or all of these things that were real vulnerable that they had to do, and they didn't have anyone to talk to. And so that was me for like a year. I did that, and then I was struggling to get my hours because once they run out of money in the nonprofit, like there's not a lot still to give or people coming in the same way. And so we did a lot of outreach, but not enough. And so I started Beyond the Mirror as an outreach and just started in the local schools and on both levels, like for professors and also for the students. And then our big kind of hub for counseling at Summit Stone, which is one of the main clinics, used to be called Larimer Center for Mental Health. And so I was invited to do a conference or a training for their entire team, which was over 300 people. Wow. And I was still in college. So it was, and I got paid very well for that. Thank you very much. So that was a happy bonus. And so it kind of just began like that. And it was a win-win with the marketing, all the things I love, like connecting to what I'm passionate about, helping people, marketing, bringing community together. It's like everything that I think is so valuable and important, and also like what I love to do.
Yeah. Well, and I think people pick up on that. Like if you're passionate about helping other people, like people genuinely like feel that, and then that helps, in any direction that you're going.
Mm-hmm.
So if this was in the internship, so you had already decided, like, so this is what you studied in school was counseling. So at what point did you decide to go into the counseling industry?
Yeah. So I started. Well, if I look back, when did I want to be a counselor? Like, back when I was a kid, I was probably 9 years old, and it was a common time where there was increased amount of divorces. A lot of people were getting divorced. It was new. It wasn't something people were doing at the same level. And so they were trying to figure out how they're going to accommodate for that. And they had groups in the school, and so I was in a divorce group for kids whose parents got divorced, and had to use my recess for that. So me, who loves being outside, and then having to use my recess for that was awful.
Just sit around and talk about it. Yeah.
Right. And then my parents wanted me to go talk to someone, and I talked to her, and she was nice enough. They liked her, but she really couldn't connect to me. Like, I wanted to talk to her. I was aware that I had stuff to say. I was worried and I had feelings, and I just didn't feel like I could talk to her. And I remember thinking, it's so easy. Like, why don't you invite me to something? Ask me about myself. Like, try to be nicer. Sit near to me or ask me, like, get to know me. And she couldn't do it. And I held on to that my whole life. And I thought, I could do this better. Like right now, I remember being 9 or 10 thinking, I could do this. This is really easy to do, to get to know someone.
Right, and to connect with them.
Right. And I just held on to it. And when I got older, I thought, I don't know if I want to be in school for like 6 to 10 years, how long do I want to go? And I thought about other things that I wanted to do. I thought, well, I could be a bartender or a hairdresser. I like to talk. I like to get to know people.
Yeah,
I could do this.
Yeah.
I could do whatever, be an actress. I don't know. But it wouldn't let go. Like, I just really want everyone to love who they are and see the connection of how we are all important to ourselves and each other. And the more people who love themselves, the more the world is a better place, you know. So I think my passion to that just kept me going, and I still love it after 21 years. You know?
That's beautiful. It's interesting because I've always connected with people very easily. I didn't think of it as in the counseling route, but I've always, since I was, oh my gosh, I think the earliest one I remember I was 10 and there was a woman who was like directing traffic that I just looked at and smiled. And next thing I know, she's standing next to me telling me her life story and the issues she's having like with her son and moving out. And I was like, I had no idea who this person was, right? But I just remember like this conversation of just being like, okay, she needs someone to listen.
Yeah.
And that's all I really did, you know, and because I couldn't really advise someone, you know, 3 times my age at that point. But I've always felt that connection to people. And I think part of it is because I genuinely love people. I love meeting people. I love learning all about that person, and I love meeting them where they are. Yeah. Right? Because there are some people that need that compassion. There's some people that need the motivation. There's some people that need maybe some more serious help, you know? But having at least the one person to actually like take a moment and just be like with them in that moment, I think is so beautiful. And I don't think it happens enough in the world.
It really is. I always say I've rarely met a person I didn't like. And you think about those little grouchy old men, those Dennis the Menace, Mr. Wilson, those are the best.
Challenge.
I love them. And you just see like, you're a softie inside. Like most of them just have a heart that it's like needing an outlet to show it, or the crunchy outer layer, I call it, is like getting in the way. And I just love people, whether they believe what I believe, whether it's something different, regardless of race, regardless of ethnicity, sexuality. I just think people are amazing, like miracles walking all around the world. And if we can connect, you know, to each other, and I find that we're so much more similar than different, you know, once we give each other a chance to get to know each other. And being able to do that, take that vulnerable risk in the world, I think it's easier for some and harder for others, and, which is why I like to have those moments of bringing people together.
It is also a muscle, right? Like something that you do have to continue to train. Right. Like even in my travels, right? Like for me to meet random people for a podcast, like it's not always easy, right? Like I'm always excited for it, but there's always, you know, the vulnerability of putting myself out there. Or even when I'm traveling and I go into a new town and I don't know anyone, or if I'm going into a coffee shop and I don't know anyone, right? Like it's all these things. Or I don't know where I'm going. I've never traveled to an area before. These mountain roads make you question a lot.
Where am I?
But all of those, like I feel like every single time that I am even like anxious or like scared of doing something like that, and then I do it, like it like helps, you know, build on that muscle of like, you know what, like nothing happened. Like
for sure.
It's fine.
And I can really relate to that. I feel like people often think I'm extroverted because I'm very communicative and I enjoy meeting people and talking to people, but I'm really introverted, and I actually feel very uncomfortable, especially in large groups. So individually, one-on-one, three on one, like as anything under than 5 feels great. But then I have to be in a big group and I'm like, how does this work? I don't know. Who do I talk to? What do I say? And so showing up for that can feel like a lot of work. Like you said, I often say the hardest part is getting there. Like once you're there, like then just look for someone who looks worse off than you. Like that's my theory. It's like, oh, you look more scared than me. Let me come and talk to you. Or look at this person. That's how I meet my best friends often. My best friend, Jen, she's like, doesn't stop talking. So it was really easy to like,
perfect.
here,
so you
talk for both of us. I'll just like hang out in your wake, you know, and that is really great. But having a strategy. And so another population I work with are like neurodivergent people, individuals on the spectrum. And I find that so often people misrepresent them. They're not sure who they are because they seem like they don't have emotions, or it's hard to connect, and therefore they might be awkward or something wrong, when it's really, they're so amazing. It's like, never have I met a group of people that can't do anything but be themselves. And it is the most refreshing thing I have ever seen in my life. And so my closest people and a lot of the people I work with are neurodivergent, and I feel like you get the ADDers like me that just can't stop talking and just love everybody, and then you get individuals on the spectrum, and we make a really great pair of supporting each other in you know, moving about the world. And so I'm in the middle of having written 2 grants to try and connect community in this way by creating mentors to bring individuals that struggle with connection and find out what's important to them, what they want to do, what their ideal community would look like. And then we're going to invite professionals in to come and teach that class or do those things right in our organization. And once they get comfortable there, bring them out into the organizations so that they can connect to community in ways that feel safe and comfortable to them. So fingers crossed. Yes. 2 grants written, just waiting to find out.
I love that. And then would that be like Fort Collins based or you
throughout Colorado? So Fort Collins based for the local events, throughout our community, or even a little bit further. Yeah. You know, we might go Estes Park and Loveland and Longmont, and kind of in those areas, Windsor, Wellington. And then throughout, a part of what we're going to be doing is supporting professionals and how do you create community for yourself or others with these populations. So once a month we'll have lunch and learn kind of network events where we'll talk about creating community for individuals with depression or anxiety or eating disorders, or creating community for professionals, or healing the healers with healers, or what does that look like? So a lot of bringing people into community in ways that feel comfortable to them and teaching others how to do that. I think especially after the pandemic, a lot of us got comfortable being isolated, and I think we needed it for a while. We're all out here, we needed to come in. But now it's like coming back to the we instead of me. You know, we're in this together. How do we bring each other together as a win-win? We don't need to advertise, but we can market and network. And just by meeting someone awesome, you know, I'm benefiting from that. That's not why I'm here, but it happens just by connecting.
Yeah, I mean, that's part of why I work from coffee shops when I do travel, or even when I'm home, right? I try to get out. Because I get, it's so easy for us to become isolated and like stay there, and I'll stay at home and I'll be at my laptop all day, and then I'm, you know, at home like the entire time, like working, and I maybe haven't seen any person that day, right? Or maybe my only conversation was a phone call, or like maybe a video call from Lucky. And so I realized that like you get in a grind, and then it's just like, okay, I have so many things I got to do, I'm just going to do them. But I work so much better when I am like surrounded with people. Right? Yeah. It's just like knowing that there's things going around, and other conversations, and, you know, you can meet people. You know, I've had some really cool experiences in coffee shops of like amazing conversations that I've been a part of or I've overheard. Like, you know, it's just beautiful just to kind of be part of that. And I do feel more community based.
And it could be simple things. Like I took my intern out to breakfast to do our like meeting there at the Rainbow Cafe. Plug for them, one of my favorites. But we were there, and while we were there was just this guy hanging out, and he asked me a question, what's my favorite thing to eat there? I told him, and I could tell he had a New York accent, you know, East Coast. And so I just asked him, where are you from? Like, let's have a conversation. And he was very different than me. Was very open about how different he was than me. And I enjoyed the entire conversation. I enjoyed meeting him. I enjoyed getting to know him. I enjoyed seeing him in a place that I've been going to for 30 years. You know, my sister worked there when I was in college, and I enjoyed the whole thing. And it's just something simple, like, I noticed your accent, where you're from, you know. And we can get by with everything but the, you know, Yankees and the Red Sox. I don't know if I can compromise my team, but other than that,
there's no getting by that one.
Politically, I can handle the difference, but, you know, not this way.
Yeah. It's interesting, but yeah, coffee shops work that way. I went to my episode last week was at a Turkish cafe, right? And I walked into the cafe, and there was a customer there who like immediately greeted me, and he was like, "Oh, hi, you know, this person is from Norway, and this person is from Mexico, and this person is from Nepal," and he just listed like where everyone was from, and he's like, "I'm from Mexico," and like, "Where are you from?" And it was like so cool, like just in that moment to be so connected, and almost like talk about a welcome, you know, into a place. But you don't get that if you stay at home.
Right.
By yourself.
And us introverts can do it like a boss. Like if I didn't have a family, I could stay in a cabin for like writing and being outside for like weeks at a time. Yeah. And so I think, getting out there and just doing, I call it social compromises. Like you can come and be in a coffee shop like this. You can look toward everybody. You can look away. You can still have your privacy, but just being in community can feel amazing. Going to a gym. Some people go to church. Some people go, you know, just sit in Old Town and people watch and listen to people play music. I mean, you don't have to know anybody or connect with anybody, but being around people, you know, if you're willing to feel what that feels like, can be great.
Yeah, you don't have to talk to people.
No.
I'm an extrovert, so I will talk to anyone that looks me in the eyes. We're having a conversation. my friend used to tell me that we used to go. She's also very introverted. We'd like go out, back in the day to the clubs or bars or something, and she'd be like, "Do not make eye contact," because she knows as soon as I make eye contact with someone, then I'm having a conversation, and she wants like nothing to do with it.
I got to hook you up with my friend Jen. She's like that. We still joke. I'm like, did you just make a friend in the Chicago train station bathroom? Like, is that what just happened? She's like, yes, I got a number. She can make a friend anywhere. My mom and my sister are like that. Those Scorpios are like easy to connect with everyone.
So now you said you were an introvert. So how did you manage when you had to speak in front of, when you were doing like your internship programs and stuff?
I don't know how that works. Like, I think for me, the larger the group, the easier it is for me to present.
Because then it's kind of like a
one
sea
person,
of people.
Right, yeah. So I feel like I'm speaking to one person, and I blame my Portugueseness on how I talk with my hands, and I'm very expressive. So I feel like it's easy for them to like understand or feel what I'm saying. For me, it just feels like one or a group of people. I mean, small groups are good too. I don't know. To me, that part feels easy. I think because I have a plan. I know what I'm doing, I'm talking about what I'm important. It's different than when you're meeting 5 strangers you've never met before and you're trying to create common themes. Like when I'm speaking in front of people, I know what I'm going to say.
Yeah.
And so that feels really great. And then I can naturally ad lib. I'm kind of improv. I can be funny. I call it Ellen DeGeneres with our ADD, and we just kind of go on tangent. That feels really great and brings people together, and that feels easy for me. But meeting people I don't know for the first time, that feels hard. But I still love it. So I do the hard things because it's takes me to where I want to go. And I think that aligning with what's important and what you value is like a huge part of just loving yourself, loving the world.
And putting the energy out there, right? So so there's a lot of people, in the entrepreneur world, that talk about manifestation and all that stuff. And I'm totally on board with that. And you have to put yourself out there for, those opportunities to come up. Mm-hmm. You can't just wish for something to happen and then sit at home.
Right. Yeah. And getting support with it. Right. Like I remember different times where it felt hard and I had to present in front of a whole school. It was after, unfortunately, I lost my grandmother and I had a series of different presentations I had to do. And I just said, hey, to my sister, could you come with me? Like, just sit in the back. I promise I won't embarrass you. I kind of did, like, a little bit. But, I mean, I'll try not to, like, put attention to you or whatever. And she handed out papers, and it just felt good to be with someone. My friend Jen and I present very well together, like, and talk. And so bringing a friend with you or another colleague, or in my, like, I've been lucky to have my friend who is a colleague and works with me and has her own practice as well. And so those things are really beneficial. Like, we don't have to do anything alone. We can... do it alone when we need to, and it feels very empowering, but we can also do it with a team, like having someone cheering you on. It's like, what would be a sporting event without the entire arena? Right. We need that kind of support sometimes.
Yeah. And so you said in the beginning that you started working with athletes, right? Speaking of like sporting arenas and stuff. So what level of athletes and how did you get into the work specifically with them?
Yeah, all athletes. So because I knew Jane Welzel and she was a professional athlete, I worked with professional athlete Olympians. I worked with local athletes. I worked with people who just enjoyed exercise, all of it, and continue to. It's a population I really love. And there's a lot of work you have to do with your mind too. If you're a super athlete, it's like, how are you going to go run 100 miles? Your mind's going to tell you, oh, hell no, you can't. And now your socks are wet. You think it's your endurance that's going to take you down, but it's really wet socks and your music isn't working. And now like this is happening and you're chafing. And it's like, those are the things that's going to take you down, not really the fact that whether you can do it or not. And so working with your mind for those kinds of intense activities, reminding your mind that you can do it when it tells you you can't. And I think in that situation, the athletes also taught me a lot of how to teach this in little ways to others that have not as much, that maybe their issue is they're trying to get to the social event. Well, if we can get an athlete to run 100 miles, then we can come up with a way that you can do this, so having 101 ways to train your mind and connect to your body and connect to your emotions. I think oftentimes we're severed. We want to think about it without feeling about it and experiencing it with our body. And So being able to integrate all of it and all the different techniques we use to do that, I think are really important. And so I began with them, but then, they start referring other people to you. And the next thing you know, I'm working with everybody and needing to hire a dietitian. Then I hired a dietitian. And then that's
so that
when
you
I
can
met.
cover like all levels of it.
Yeah. And then it was probably the third year Jen came, and she's like my bestie now, but in the beginning she just kind of showed up, and she had been working at the National Eating Disorders Association and heard of me. And then I connected with people from Denver, Tony Saber, who started the Eating Disorder Foundation, which is a nonprofit hub of our community that unfortunately is closing down this summer, but was an amazing resource for me and supported me in a lot of different ways. When I felt like I wanted to throw in the towel with this business, I would communicate with her, and then just staying connected to community. And then I would find therapists. We'd need new therapists, and they would specialize. Maybe they were a yoga teacher and a therapist, and they wanted to do something around that, or a child therapist. And so we just began growing, and about maybe 12 years ago, we rebranded as a holistic counseling center. So now we take individuals as young as 4 years old, all the way through the life spectrum for any issues. I mean, we are known in the community for specializing in eating disorder treatment, co-occurring disorders, addiction, ADD, autism, trauma, and then anxiety, depression, relationships. I mean, all relationships, because all people are awesome. We've already recognized the inclusivity. So we're a very inclusive place, not just because we think that's okay, but because we honor and enjoy and value like all people. And so it's a really safe landing. Like, I'm passionate about it. I love it. All of my staff are handpicked. So we pick them for the needs of our community and our organization, but also for the needs of each other. We're very different providers, but we all have the same mission and the same safety and inclusivity that we bring throughout. And so I think that really, I love everyone I work with. Like, you never see gossip going on at the office. It's like the best place ever. So we really like working together and enjoying each other. Yeah, and then it really, the clients see it. So it's kind of a work family, I call it.
That's good. And it's beautiful that you've been able to build that. Did you, is it just because of the way you are and how you are with people that you think you've attracted people like that, or you specifically sought people that were going to fit, that family?
Yeah, initially I handpicked. Like, I knew Laura Burlingham Lee, who was specializing in DBT. And so she came and spoke, did a training for my staff. I liked her, so I kind of brought her in. My friend Andrea, we worked together at the health district, Connections Counseling, and she was also an art therapist. I kept meeting her in different places, and I'm like, hey, like, I need someone new. You want to contract with me? And we brought in Faith and Kara and Bree. A lot of cool people showed up, and then if they were a good fit, we brought them in. So in the beginning, I handpicked them, or they came and met with me. And then over time, now we usually what I do is I just let people know, hey, we're hiring, and then people kind of flock. I mean, I don't want to toot my own horn, but we're a great place to work. I mean, everybody likes to work there. So then people come, and then I kind of look at who will be a good fit. And sometimes it surprises me. It's not always the one with the most experience, although sometimes it is. Sometimes it's just the natural essence of them, or what they are great at is what we're needing. I mean, there's a lot of different ways I choose people, but when I'm done, I usually bring the team to meet them and see what they think, and then together we kind of decide, who's the best fit. So,
I love that. And compatibility is important, like in job, I think, over skill, right? Because certain skills, certain trainings can be taught, but the compatibility of the people is, that's the harder one to fill.
Yeah, and there's just some things you can't teach. Like, you either have those like rapport building, connection, inclusivity pieces, or you don't.
Like
or
your counselor when you were 9.
And that's what we can't compromise. I always say I can't compromise inclusivity or safety. Like, this is a place of belonging, and we're here to raise people up, and I can't compromise that. And everybody has to stay safe, all y'all. So I need to know if something isn't safe, so you can be supported. And,
right, one less thing you have to worry about.
Right.
So you started pretty early on in the eating disorder route. So like, as a counselor and what you studied at school, I'm sure you had all sorts of options of directions of where you wanted to go. Is there a reason why that particular disorder like really called to you to help?
Yeah, I think I kind of fell into it like that. And so it was like the population coming to me. I think by nature, being a woman, that we all kind of struggle with how we look. It's something we have to consider throughout our whole life. And when we're not beautiful, oh no, like God forbid. But athletes even are supposed to look beautiful. Like seriously, you just ran 500 miles or whatever. You know, you just won the race.
You're like model ready.
You're supposed to look like a fashion model. No, and I've always loved like Serena Williams. She's like my biggest, like if I'm going to be like, oh my gosh, like this person I idolize her person. She doesn't try to look good for nobody. Like she looks good because she is good. And if she has a lot of intensity or emotion, she brings it out. She shows everybody who she is, you know? And so I really like empowering women. And I think women have eating disorders. And I kind of fell into, I thought in the beginning, I just wanted to work with women, definitely not teenagers because they're hard, you know, I thought. But apparently I have tattoos and a nose ring, and that gave me a good in with the teenagers. They thought I was cool right away, and then the next thing you know, like I'm working with teenagers, and so it kind of expanded from there. I think starting in this place that I resonated with of just, yeah, that's hard, and I too have struggled with what I'm choosing to eat or what my body looks like or how I show up in the world or control, wanting a reason or something to control, and I can get that. And I feel like I kind of honed in on that population for a long time, and that's what followed with me. And then I realized I can kind of get a lot of people, like, and maybe that's part of why I'm here, is that I get you, you know, whatever it is with you. And that's cool. Like usually I see that thing that someone thinks is broken about them, and I think, dang, that's cool. Like I really like that part that makes you human. And yeah, that's hard to be you and to have this piece that's hard, but I see it as a beautiful piece, like diamond in the rough and not something wrong. And then being able to work with a variety of people, I realized I didn't want to limit why I'm doing this work, you know, and so we just kept expanding.
Well, I love the beauty of it too, because there's so many people that I deal with on the marketing side of it that like go into business and they're like, oh, I could do business with everyone. And I'm like, okay, yes, you can. But if you can really hone in on like a particular niche, you know, then you would grow that much faster. But generally people are kind of, you know, bills gotta get paid. So you take business like where you can. And it's interesting that you did it in the way that I always advise, right? Like you had a super specialized niche. Yeah. And then that has then evolved into bigger, better because of like what you've learned and the things that you see that can kind of go across different people and different situations, right? Some of the same qualities. How is it that you work with people? Like what's the process like when you work with someone? For like those of us who don't have a counselor, have never been, right? Like what is that those sessions kind of look like? Yeah,
I think it's different for everybody, and that's why I always recommend, like, don't make a choice, don't come sit on my couch and decide to choose me, you know, like go work with a couple other people, try it out and see what you like, because I think the importance is we're having a relationship. So just like anybody else, you want to make sure you like being with that person. I mean, I'm kind of funny, I talk a lot. Like I'm going to get to know you, but I don't talk a lot all the time, not if they don't need me to. So maybe you think I'm cool, maybe you don't. That's the first step, right? It's finding this is a person I can connect with. And then I think every provider would tell you they do it different based on their theoretical background, but also a variety of things. So for me, I take the first 3 sessions to learn the language. Like I'm learning a new language of you and you're teaching it to me, and you have this wisdom. And so I may be like given some tidbits here, right? And I'm connecting and building rapport, but I'm also like waiting to figure out like what is the language that I need to use to communicate with you. And you're going to teach me that, you know. And so once I learn that, I always be like, like it feels like, ooh, I've been given the goods. And it's the most beautiful thing that still to this day can bring tears to my eyes. Like I feel like such an honor to be a part of this. And one of my interns, Kate Barlow, like she was talking about it. She's very much similar in that way, where her just heart and expands and her eyes light up, you know, and it's like she sheds a tear. And I feel like it's so beautiful to see a new counselor do that, and that I still have that after all this time. And then I think for me, I'm very interpersonal. Like we're having a relationship, and whatever's coming up here with us is coming up out there. If you're worried about what I think about you, you're worried about that there. Yeah. If I'm like, I have to do my own stuff, right? So now I'm getting to know you. And if I'm feeling like, oh, like I'm feeling self-conscious, or what do I say in this moment? Like now I have to do my work to figure out like what I need to best support you and get the support that I need. And so there's this interpersonal piece. I'm very visual, and so I speak in metaphors. I'm just sent in a presentation for a proposal for a conference to do this with a colleague about talking about metaphors and how we can learn so much. I think oftentimes when you come into therapy, it feels so painful to talk about your past. But if your past is like a fortress in which you have built, that you are recognizing that there's a huge fence and some of these doors are locked and the barred windows, then you can easily talk through a fortress. And so being able to share a metaphor of any kind, I think, can really help people connect. And there have been many clients that I've worked through for years through a metaphor of building a house and creating a new foundation or having the rug slipped out from under you. Everything is information that so often I think we get busy in the world and ignore all the million signs our mind and body are really telling us. And so bringing people back to the wisdom that they have when they feel like they're kind of lost in their ability to connect to it. I think.
Yeah. Do you feel that that's happening more now, with everyone being so connected, on digitally and things like that, and less in person? Do you feel like more people feel lost that you deal with?
I think yes and no. I think that sometimes people are when they're finding their communities, but I do feel like there's a disconnect. I think there's a big push, and coaches have it too, to be vulnerable. Let me tell you all about myself. As a therapist, I have a hard time with that. I don't have to be a blank slate, but I don't have to tell you all about myself. It's not about me, it's about we and you who's coming in. And so I think about just having those tools to connect. As someone who grew up in having family who immigrated from another country and then visiting this other country over and over and seeing how it's different. It's the same. At noon, all of the men are at the little store up the street and they're smoking a cigar and they're having a coffee and they're talking to Joan, and they're talking to Manuel, and they're all having a conversation, and this is what's happening. And we're not knowing our neighbors in the same way oftentimes we do. And my friends that are over 50 have a different way of being, but people who are in their 20s or 30s and now they've come to college and their family lives far away, how do they connect not just to community but to their elders, to wisdom and the wisdom of each other, and how we all have that. Kids and teenagers and my elders are I don't know how I'd move through the world without them. Those young people, they think everything is possible, and it is. And it feels so good to be reminded of that.
Right.
And
it's beautiful to see that hope and
having that wisdom of those who have come before me and walked longer than me. It's so important. And so bringing people to that and helping, I think we just don't have that in the way that we do in smaller communities. And as much as we're a large town, little city, it can be hard to find. New people will come and tell me it's hard to find here, and I think it can be until you get out there.
Yeah, and it's something that I saw recently too, that said people who travel tend to be more empathetic in general, because we've seen all sorts of different normals. What you or an individual considers normal is different in every area, in every country.
Right.
Sometimes every city, down to neighborhood. And I think it just gives you more of an opportunity to see the differences and see the variety of, what people can be and what they are, and give you an opportunity to connect differently, so I think that's super helpful. But it's interesting also that you were talking about the community and growing up and stuff, right? Even the generation between me and my son. So my son is 21. When I grew up, we knew all of the neighbors, maybe not all of them, 80% of the neighbors. And we would be, friendly with, people's parents and, the grandma and grandpa that lives on the street, away from their family, whatever. So we would know, and we'd be outside all the time, chatting with everybody, and everyone was kind of aware of everything. And then by the time my son was, born, and when he was growing up, that it already had come to no one was outside anymore.
Right.
And then it was okay, so then we have to bring him somewhere or join some activity in order to meet people. So it does become more difficult.
Yeah. Well, and I think we had an increased, I always say, I had an increased capacity for being awkward. So I think about back in my day, I hate to age myself here nationally or whatever, but if I wanted to go talk to a partner, I had to go knock on their door. Like I had to go ask their parents if I could come in. I didn't get to text and say, meet me outside. Like if I wanted to call a friend, I'm talking on the one phone with the long cord, trying to hide in the bathroom. And my dad's like, Jenny, get out of the bathroom. And I'm like trying to hide to say something I don't want him to hear or whatever. And we're trying to navigate that. And but there was a lot we had to do and be uncomfortable. We had to talk in front of people. Like we had to take a speech class. Sometimes people do that. Sometimes it's different. But there was a lot that we just had to do. You had to eat your dinner. You had to do the things. And now it's more of a parenting place of choice, which I love in a lot of ways. But I think some things are missing, like the just do it mentality, like Nike says, right? Just do it. This is that piece. Some things we just have to do, like it or not. You're going to do that. You're going to have that apology. Go apologize to your grandmother. I'm going to watch you do it, and you put it in writing. Right. Like I remember having to do all the different things, and none of that made me struggle. Like all of that was good. Struggle to have. Yes, it was a struggling, but it wasn't a suffering. And I think that there's a difference, and we're afraid of the struggle. We want to keep people out of pain emotionally, but physically. You want that benzo, you want that pain med, you're going to get one tooth. My daughter got one tooth pulled out. They gave her 30 medication, pieces of medication that she could just,
For
so
a
I'm
tooth?
thinking, why does she need, this medication?
So suffered through it.
Right, she can have
dig a
Advil
little something
twice and she's done. So we just throw that out or donate it back to the hospital. So I think about, why are we trying to keep people out of pain? Like there's, anybody ever have a child? Like there's a lot of pain regardless of which side of the birthing you're on. Like it's the most beautiful pain I've ever experienced, and I would never want to do it any other way. So I think allowing people to understand how to support themselves in pain. And when I went to a workshop about trauma, I remember one of my favorite definitions was just like, we feel trauma when we surpass the ability of coping that exists for us right now and don't have the support, right? So I think traumatic experience is a loss in the family where everybody's struggling. If someone can't support each other, then we're at risk of being traumatized. But if you're going through something hard and someone is there to support you, this does not have to be a trauma. If we're in it, right, together. It can be a struggling, but it doesn't have to be a suffering. And I think that's where, again, the community connection comes back of how can we, the more people who feel empowered within themselves, empower others.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And when someone works with you like this, just being able to talk to someone through a lot of the things that we deal with, I think it's hard, and I would assume, you've been growing for the last 21 years, so it's got to, the trend has got to be rising of people actually seeking counseling and therapy and ability. But for the longest time, when I was growing up, it was so taboo. You have a therapist, you talk to someone, you can't handle it on your own kind of situation, right? And I feel like everyone should have a counselor.
Yeah.
Because walking through, talking through what you're going through, what you're feeling, what you're thinking, all of that.
Yeah. And some of the younger generation, again, I just feel so motivated and inspired by them, the new people of the world that will take care of us as we get older. I go to Dutch Bros Coffee sometimes, when I'm late for work and I'm rushing by, and they ask all the time, what do you do? Well, I'm a counselor. Oh, I need a counselor. I've had a counselor. I struggle with anxiety. And they just tell me their story, and it just feels so great. Wow, you want people to know? Because a lot of people, like you said, don't necessarily want people to know. It's taboo. And I think we, back in the day in small villages where we had our elders, where we had all that, right? My goal to create community for individuals and through these grants that I have just written is to make it so they don't need as much mental health. I think some of it is, yes, you need tools for anxiety, depression, trauma, and also you need support. We do all the time. We don't live secretly alone. We need support in a variety of different ways, and regardless of what that looks like, emotional, financial, connecting, anyway. And so allowing for that and helping people come to that, I think could decrease a lot of some of the connection, because people can look towards their providers to connect, or for the bulk of connection, because it is so hard, to get it in other ways. And it feels more like a sure thing. You know, that it's like, you're going to come in, I'm going to take care of you. Like, I'm going to feel like you're important all the time, no matter what. And if I disagree with you, I'll let you know, but it will sound loving, and I'll keep that secure attachment, and you don't have to be afraid here. And out in the world, it's not a sure thing. You know, it's harder.
Do you have like a set of questions that you typically like ask people before you decide to work with them? Because I would assume, you know, as selective as you are of who you allow in your team, are you as selective of who you work with, like as a client?
Yeah. Yeah, I like to make sure that every now and then, if I'm feeling like maybe it's not a good fit, I think about like maybe the way I communicate. So the way I communicate, as you're all starting to learn about me, is like can go on tell a little story, or be less linear about it. Like step one, we're going to talk about your anxiety, and step two. And so every now and then I'll work with people who really need clear-cut steps for things. And I'll say, hey, you can try it out, but I might not be the match for you, or whatever. But a lot of times it does work, and they help me get more organized too. And now with the support of AI, I can come up with a good plan for what we're going to work on pretty quickly, based on just talking into it and saying what I want and lining that up. So there's a lot of support that way. But I do like to make sure like we're a good fit, because the most important thing is that they're getting the support that they need, and that also I'm not doing anything to make them feel like somehow they're lesser than. And if
or
I'm
they need to
showing
show up
up,
differently or something.
if it's hard to learn from me, that could trigger that like something's wrong with me, when really it's like, nope, we might not just be the best fit. So I'm just looking for a good fit. And I like to kind of ask, like, where have you been? What have you tried? You know, what's helpful? What's not helpful? Why are you awesome? I save that question to the end and make everybody answer it. So I'm like, I can give you some options to choose from if you want. Like, I've been hanging out here for an hour, and I know why you're awesome. I have a couple ideas.
I can see a couple things.
So finding out why people think they're awesome, what they've been told about their amazingness, and what I'm already noticing about like the cool person that they are. I think is important. Just to feel everybody feels their value and their wisdom.
Yes. I think at the end of the day, like I've had this conversation with quite a few people. Like I think at the end of the day, at the core of our being, we all just want to be appreciated and understood, right? And I think just giving someone like the platform or the space to really feel that, I think that heals a lot.
Yeah, and just I think it's hard out in the real world when someone's irritating you, or you're annoyed, or it's hard. You come back and people may or may not have time for you. They might be agitated, you know, and just being able to have a place where it's like that stuff doesn't happen. Like I'm going to respond effectively and in a healthy way regardless. Like sometimes I might be frustrated, and I'm really honest about that, being a direct communicator. So they're like, if they'll ask me, are you frustrated with me? And I'm like, no, I think it's more, I'm frustrated with the fact that I'm not sure what to do in this moment. And so I have like these three ideas, I'm not sure which one to go. So maybe if I just tell you all three, we can decide together, you know, but I'll stop and think about it. Am I frustrated? I can think of one time I said, yes, I am. Like, I'm like, you say no, I give you this, no. So I'm a little frustrated right now, but not necessarily at you, just at like this process. So maybe what we need to do is just realize we don't know and sit in the uncertainty together. Like, want some tea? Like, what can we do? And when I shift gears, you know, I think it can open up. But I think just that honesty of being able to create, like, it's all okay here, is what I think can be a good starting point for healing. I really love like Father Gregory Boyle. He does a lot of work outside of LA for gang members, and I've read every single one of his books. I've been a fan since the dawn of time of bringing, inviting gang members into healing and connecting and showing up for that and learning and loving and growing just as much as they do, and realizing it's not about him being better or them being worse or anybody being the problem. It's about creating a culture for healing, and people can do it, people can't, and people can be taught, but not everyone is good at it. And if we can just acknowledge that, like, that's something I feel like I'm here for, is to create cultures for healing, regardless of, not all therapeutic, but I think they are all therapeutic, right? Regardless of if it's about counseling or therapy or not. And just allowing for that to happen is just creates so many beautiful things. It's like it's the perfect soil for a garden to grow. And we have no control over what grows a lot of the times, but we can do that together.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. I have like so many questions, and I'm like looking at the time, like, wait, which direction can we go in? And we have time to cover stuff. Of the people that you work with the most, what are, I was going to ask you for maybe tips. Maybe let's not go that route. What are some of the like beautiful moments that really like call out to you from someone that you've helped or someone that came to you like in the 21 years that you've been in this field?
I don't even know where to start. Like there's just, I feel like every single client I've ever met has one of those, but every person I've ever met, right, has one of those. But the teenagers will take me down every now and then. You know, you get those teenagers and you like to think all the parents like love them, and sometimes some don't, you know, or can't show them how. And being able to be present for that and healing for that, and those relationships can be challenging for me because at the end of the day I'm playing the mother figure. We call that transference, countertransference. We're skating with a lot, holding a lot. It takes a lot of effort, it takes a lot of work. I have one of those right now, a young person, and it's true to my heart. It's like this hard work is why I'm here. This struggling is together we struggle, and it is worth it. You know, I've had a family I got to work with, which is really rare to work with different members of a family. You know, oftentimes we just work with one. It doesn't usually work unless it's a family counseling. It's very
where
rare
everyone
that
is in the same room at the same
it's
time.
rare you'd work with the mom, like the daughter, and then work with the son or whatever. And I had one of those in the 21 years that it just worked. It was how it should work. All I can say is it's the Portuguese way. It was culture. I consulted and it was a good fit. And I still get to be a part of this family. And I just feel like how cool that is to watch a family grow and always have been beautiful, but just see that beauty just resonating in the world and growing in the world and shining its light, and being a part of something for so long. I have an original, I call her. She comes for what we call oil change therapy every so many miles. I don't see her very often because she's doing amazing. And she had a hard year, and it just feels like I'm blessed to be a part of it, you know, of all of it, whatever it is.
Yeah. So now when you work with people, it's mostly like you provide like tools, you like walk them through, you know, certain ways to maybe like come out of what's the word I'm looking for? Out of a state, right?
Yeah.
Like if they're in something, like you kind of give them some guidance of like, hey, here's some, you know, strategies or things that you could do to get yourself out of that moment.
Yeah, we kind of come up with some goals together. Sometimes it happens on that first intake session. Sometimes it grows throughout, you know, to look at like, why are you here? Like, and it might just be, I like to use their words. Other therapists do it different, but I'll write whatever they write. I want to like myself more. I want to feel better about who I am. I don't want to be so anxious. And then I always say, if you don't want to be anxious, what do you want to be? Let's put it in the positive, right? I want to feel content. I want to feel confident. I want to feel calm. And so we look at 1,000,001 ways, like, and that's the thing. That's the best part of me as a therapist and the hardest part. Okay, there are 1,000,001 ways that we could reach this goal. So let's find the ones that work right for you. So then we'll talk about it. And in therapy talk, it's like techniques. Are we going to use cognitive behavioral therapy and talk about your thoughts? Or are we going to use somatic therapy and connect to your body? Or are we going to, which language works best for you, right? And so I would be more of an integrative therapist. Over 21 years, I have a series of trainings. That's the cool thing and the hard thing. Like when you don't have your niche, one niche means training like this. Other niches means like a whole bunch of trainings. So had a lot of trainings now. So I feel like maybe we're using some IFS work. Maybe we're using, talking about the different parts of yourself, right? Maybe we're talking with your mind more, with your body more. Integrating that with a wise mind. There's a lot of different ways that we can get there to your goals. And so really looking at which ones work. And I usually talk about how I've been given a set of like janitor's keys, and I kind of flip through which one unlocks, right? Which one, and once you go, then we revise what we call the treatment plan and say, this is how we can reach your goals using these techniques to get you to where you want to go.
Yeah. And when people work with you, they typically work with you for, you know, you like you called it your oil change. See, the visuals work, guys.
Yeah, I know. See? Metaphors, my friends.
The oil change maintenance kind of setup. So people work with you like it comes to you like weekly, monthly, annually? Like what
All
kind
of it, yeah.
Okay.
So I would say sometimes they start weekly or biweekly would be
Depending
kind of starting.
yeah.
Sometimes I think people who are fast, like quick, the weekly can help like that. People who like to ponder or percolate might want to come weekly, but if they don't have any severe behaviors, I might say, give yourself time to think about it. Let's do a week and a half or every 2 weeks, so we can do it like that. And then once they start tapering off, it could be once a month. We try that for a while. Sometimes people just need until they grow their community, more support. And then after they've tapered off once a month, I'm like, I'm not going to fire you if you still need the support, but we have to talk about why you need this. You know, insurance wants to know like why this is still relevant. And so we kind of might have to create some new goals and look at what it is that they're needing. And then we talk about tapering off of that. And so maybe they would do a group therapy instead, or maybe we would go every 2 months, and then it kind of comes to oil change therapy. So it's like you're going about your life, and if something new comes up, right, that you had a medical diagnosis, or you lost a relationship or a job, or you're just wanting to do something risky in a healthy way and you don't know how you're going to do this, like then you come back, you know, and we check in for a while, and then we stop. So I've had some people I've only met with a couple of times, or while they're going through something brief while they're here for the summer, students or whatever, and then other people that I've seen for 20 years. Yeah.
That's beautiful. So yeah, so they can use it to, you know, check in, or if there's something coming up, or if they're going through a particular experience, whatever in life, then they can just come in and they have you to lean on, even if they are not seeing you weekly, monthly, whatever. They can always come back to that. I know we're wrapping up to the end of the hour here. Again, I have so many questions. We might have to do a part 2. So I always ask with, you know, I want to always end with kind of like words of wisdom. But before we do that, because I'm sure you have some, what is something that you maybe want more people to understand and to really like take to heart about themselves, like whether they come see you or just in their everyday life?
Oh, so hard. One thing. Just
it could be 2.
You have value. You don't have to believe that you have value to have it. Like it's just yours. Like I'm a human. Like it's sunny outside, or it's snowing or hailing yesterday afternoon. I don't have to like it for it to be true. And we all have value. Like even the grouchy old men that I love, you know, they all have value. And so being able to see it, like the diamond in the rough, I call it, or if someone buried a diamond or even pooped upon it, like they would still have just as much value. Just clean that baby off, you know. And sometimes the world wounds us, you know, and we create. I think it's Tara Brach, who's does meditation and also as a therapist, and she talks about armoring. Throughout the world, we put armoring on to deal with the world, and we begin to think we're our armor. And to extend upon that, it's hard to move in armor. So if you've ever tried to connect to someone, be intimate with them, communicate, swim, run around, it's like heavy and hard. And so we have to find those safe moments to take off the armoring and see who we truly are. And that's really what I'm passionate about showing.
Yeah.
Being a part of, I guess. They show me, really.
You all have value.
Yeah.
And it has to be beautiful, I would say, in the moments when the person that you're working with realizes that.
Yeah.
You see kind of like the light like cracking through that armor.
It's the best. It's like the reason I'm here. You know. So good.
I love that.
Yeah. And then they get to bring it. How many people, you know, it's like all of the playing chess and all of the big parts, like the queen and this and that, but all the pawns, all the minions, you know, I like to think of them as cute little minions. Like once they move about the world, it's like they're just doing way more than I could do on my own, right? So I'm here like doing what I'm doing with the thousands of people that I've done that with, like throughout my lifetime so far. But if they're doing it with thousands and they're helping people to, I mean, that's really
the
what
ripple
I'm in it
effect.
for. Yeah,
which is beautiful. Yeah, you heal one person, and then they then, like you were saying before, I forget the term you used, but then they then, you know, help heal other people.
Right. I show up for their healing and create a safe place, and they do all the work. You know?
Yeah, that's beautiful. I can't really beat that. So we're going to end on that note. If you guys have not been paying attention this entire time, her website is scrolling across the bottom. So if you want to take a look and see more what you do, because you do virtual as well, right? Not just in
all
person.
Throughout Colorado virtually, and trainings throughout nationally. Yeah.
Perfect. So if you need her to speak at a conference, not for free. If you heard to speak at a conference, reach out. But
Send me to cool places, friends. I like to travel.
yes. So definitely check that out. If you guys have any questions, comments as you're watching this on replay, like go ahead and put them in the comments. We'll make sure to monitor that and get back to you with anything over the next couple of days. But definitely reach out. And if you're not in Colorado, and so you can't work from somebody like out of state, even if they want to do virtual, right? Because it's
not for counseling, but some that we're working on a counseling compact. So we're hoping that that's going to happen in the future, hopefully by the end of the year or the next year. But we can do some states allow it. Yeah.
Okay. So check first, and if not, just find your person, find who you connect with, so that you have the opportunity to really like talk it out and get someone to support you and get you to where you need to be. Love it. Thank you so much, Jen, for joining me. This was so fun. Yeah. And we might just do a part 2 because I do have all kinds of other questions. Thank you guys so much for joining us, and we hope to see you next time. Have a fabulous, fabulous weekend.